Have you ever had that feeling where you're just treading water while it seems like everyone else is speeding past you? Well, multimillionaire businessman Mark Tilbury has this six-step framework that he claims can put you ahead of pretty much everyone. So let's dive in and break down his playbook.
So Tilbury kicks things off with this choice between two different life paths. On one hand, you've got Jack. He lives for the weekend, no savings, just parties and Tinder. And on the other hand, you've got Chad, who's all about building his business, making connections, hitting the gym. Tilbury says, look, the very first step is just to be real with yourself. Where do you honestly fall on the spectrum right now?
Okay, so what if you see a little more Jack in the mirror than you'd like, but you've got those Chad ambitions? What's the actual game plan? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Tilbury's 6 steps that he says can totally change your direction.
The first big shift is all about your mindset. You have to start treating life like it's a competitive sport. Tilbury's argument is that the old school rules just don't apply anymore, and to really get ahead, you have to accept that you're playing a game. So, what does that actually mean in practice?
This completely flies in the face of what we're all taught, right? It's the taking part that matters. Tilbury's view is way more intense. He's saying, look, if you're going to play the game of life, you should be playing to win. It's a complete reframing of what your purpose and ambition should be. And this comparison just drives his point home. He basically says that school trains us all wrong for the real world. Think about it. In an exam, getting help from the smartest kid is called cheating. But in business, that's called hiring a CFO. The real world doesn't just allow teamwork. It's literally built on it.
So why is this winning mindset so important right now? Well, according to him, the world is just hyper-competitive. He points to the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, playing out everywhere, from social media to dating apps, where a tiny fraction of people get the huge majority of the attention. The stakes are just higher than they've ever been.
Okay, so you've accepted life as a game. Now what? What kind of mindset do you actually need to win it? This is where Tilbury's advice starts to get really, really interesting.
And here's the take that might ruffle a few feathers. He thinks our modern obsession with work-life balance is often just an excuse for not going all in. He argues that when you are truly trying to get ahead of the pack, there's no such thing as balance. There's only an obsession with your goal. And this is the level of obsession he means. It's pure elite athlete mentality. Where they dedicate their entire being to one single outcome. For Tilbury, business is the ultimate sport, and he believes this is the mindset you need just to be able to compete. To make this idea of obsession more real, he offers a super simple but powerful tip. Take some sticky notes, write down everything you want to change, your goals, your weaknesses, and stick them all over your mirror. That way, you have to confront them every single morning. There's no hiding. It's a daily call to action.
All right, so you've got the competitive drive, you've got the obsessive mindset. Now, what do you actually do? This next part is all about action, specifically about shifting from being a consumer to becoming a creator.
Now, the main idea here is a sliding scale. He's not telling you to go into monk mode and cut out every ounce of fun from your life. Not at all. He's just suggesting that you try to nudge the needle, even just a little, away from consuming things and towards producing things.
So what does that actually look like? He shares that he stopped going to parties with people he wasn't even close to. He took that time and just plowed it back into his business, working on his product designs, and that's the key here. Even a small, consistent shift puts you way ahead of most people who are basically operating in 100% consumer mode. Being a producer also means learning how to lean on other people's expertise, but there's a huge difference between a bad question and a good question. Can I ask you for some advice? Is vague. It makes the other person do all the work. But a super specific question, that shows you respect their time, you've done your own thinking, and it makes it incredibly easy for them to give you a great answer.
And this leads right into his rules for mentorship. Ask sharp questions. When you get advice, actually do something with it. And maybe, most importantly, be super careful about fake mentors. You want someone who has actually done the thing they're teaching, not just talked about it.
Okay, let's get into the final piece of the puzzle, your psychology around money. Tilbury says this is one of the biggest things that holds people back.
So for him, getting ahead isn't really about your net worth. It's about building your capabilities. It's about becoming the kind of person who knows how to create value, because that's a skill that no one can ever take away from you.
This comparison just lays it all out. You've got the shortcut, lottery winners, crypto billionaires. That wealth is fragile because the skills weren't built alongside it. Then you've got the skill path, building a business. That gives you knowledge that's bulletproof. You could lose everything and know how to build it all back again. To get on that skill path, you have to change how you think about money. He says that believing money is scarce is a total trap. And he tells this awesome story about his mentor, who made him carry $1,000 in cash in his pocket at all times. The reason? Just to get comfortable with it, to stop seeing it as some rare treasure and start seeing it as a tool, as pocket change.
And here's a perfect real-world example of that mindset in action. His son started his videography business charging just $100 a day. Mark pushed him to charge more, to see his own value. Now, that same son is doing consultations for over $5,000 a day. He didn't work more hours, he just changed his thinking about the value he was providing.
So after all of this, the competitive mindset, the producer framework, the money psychology, it all comes down to one final, really simple idea.
This image, right here, this is Tilbury's core metaphor for everything. Getting ahead isn't about some massive life-changing explosion. It's about making a tiny, 1-degree course correction.
And that's really the whole takeaway. That tiny, almost invisible shift, when you stick with it over time, leads you to a destination that's wildly different from where you would have ended up. It's all about the power of small, consistent strategic changes. So, that brings us to the final question, the one that this whole thing is really about. After unpacking this entire framework, what's the one small 1-degree shift that you're going to make starting today? It's a powerful question, and definitely one worth thinking about.